Hello and welcome back to Ruben Uncut. Today I'm talking about Captain America, Brave New World. That's right. I saw Captain America, Brave New World the other night, and let me tell you something, brother. Don't know why I started talking like Hulk Hogan there for some reason. I swear, this has nothing to do with the American beer. Anyways, where was I? Captain America, Brave New World is in theaters right now. Let's pop up the poster right here. Yeah. Starting to figure out this editing thing. Only 4 years into this. But of course, Captain America, Brave New World is, of course, the latest Marvel flick. And it's also another Marvel movie the critics aren't exactly jazzed about. The reviews are mixed. Some people say it's good. Some people say it's meh. And I'm going to be honest here. I thought it was pretty good. I had a good time. Now, don't get me wrong. I get some of the criticism. The film definitely has that we did a lot of reshoots vibe going on. The stuff with Giancarlo Esposito, there's a part of me that's like, what did this replace? That being said, if you want to make some awkward reshoots that I'm going to somehow still tolerate and enjoy, Giancarlo Esposito is how you sell that shit. Because Giancarlo Esposito always goes down good. There's a part of me that deeply wonders what the reshoots replaced. There's a lot of rumors. Supposedly this movie had a lot more Hulk stuff in it, which makes actually a lot of sense. And we'll get into why in a little bit. I'm going to start off spoilers free. Once we get to spoilers, I'll pop the spoilers thing up on the screen so you know you're watching the spoiler section for those that give a shit. So how do I feel about Brave New World? Well, first of all, let's address some of the elephants in the room. First of all, Anthony Mackie does a good job. Anthony Mackie does a good job. I am here for it. Anthony Mackie doing a good job. In fact, I would say that Anthony Mackie, this is the first time I'm really feeling Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Don't get me wrong. I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a relatively good show. I thought I did a good job setting up, well, technically, this movie. It's setting up this movie. This is the thing that it's setting up. So Anthony Mackie, I think, does a good job. And the movie kind of almost does what you needed to do, which is to set him up as the next Captain America. That being said, there is an undeniable fact about this movie. This movie is a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, which is a weird thing for a Captain America movie to be. And I sort of predicted this from the outset when they'd said that the main villain was going to be the leader, which is technically true. But there is technically, well, no. You know what? I would still categorize the leader as the main villain. But let's be honest. At a certain point, we know, because the villain is the leader, that he's not going to really fight physically with Captain America. Because at the end of the day, like, a good portion of this movie is really a Hulk movie. And if you can be okay with your Captain America movie also technically being a Hulk movie, well, then you're in for a treat. Because that's what we're getting here. I guess what I'm saying is that essentially, like, I liked this movie. In fact, I thought it was actually a lot better than a lot of other people are saying. But I kind of get where people are coming from. Like, there is an element of, when does Captain America get to have his own movie? Because we haven't really had a Captain America movie with his own movie since, Winter Soldier, which was very much a Captain America movie. Civil War was a Captain America movie, but it was also kind of a transitionary story in a larger piece of fiction that was also very much a Captain America versus Iron Man movie. So the question becomes, when are we going to get that similar to the situation with MCU Spider-Man movie where it's like, okay, that's fine. When are we going to get a movie that is just Spider-Man's movie? Which is kind of the weird thing about all the Spider-Man movies in the MCU movie is that they don't exactly feel like you're just getting Spider-Man. Even Far From Home, which is technically the most Spider-Man centric somehow, despite also being the worst of the three movies. There, I said it. Far From Home sucks. It's not all bad. It's not the worst thing ever made, but like in terms of an MCU movie, it sucks. But like I was saying, Tim Blake Nelson plays the leader who is the villain of this movie. And Tim Blake Nelson, and I know, like, to people who don't know who the leader is, maybe that's a spoiler, but like, if you've seen The Incredible Hulk, you're gonna know who he is. In fact, actually, if you're gonna watch any MCU movie before you go see Brave New World, it's probably Incredible Hulk. Actually, Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the Incredible Hulk are probably what I would say are the required viewing to get the most out of this, even though there is also a lot of references to Civil War. But the basic gist of the film is that and Eternals. It also ties directly into the Eternals, which I like, but a lot of people don't for some reason because people hate epics. I don't know. But the movie gets around to finally addressing the celestial island in the ocean from Eternals. And what they discover is that the celestial's body contains adamantium. So essentially the film is a political thriller about the president of the United States, Thunderbolt Ross, now played by Harrison Ford. And essentially, Harrison Ford, as Thunderbolt Ross, is now president of the United States. And he's trying to sort of negotiate adamantium on the world stage. And like how everyone will share the resource as opposed to what Wakanda does with their vibranium. Now, if I have to give a huge shout out to anyone in this film, it's probably going to be Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is great. Like, Harrison Ford is fucking dynamic like the whole time. Harrison Ford, this is honestly somehow one of Harrison Ford's best performances in a fun action movie. Like, he's clearly just having a good time. Like, he's reaching out and be like, that's not how you chew the scenery, kids. This is how you chew the fucking scenery. And it's great. It's not, honestly, Harrison Ford is great in this movie. In fact, possibly movie stealingly great. I don't know how. And the scenes with him and Anthony Mackie are pretty fucking dope. Like, the acting in these scenes goes a little bit higher than what I normally expect from an MCU movie, to be completely honest. Like, Harrison Ford is like a big part of why I would say check out the movie, to be completely honest. And I don't want to underplay Anthony Mackie here. I think that he does a great. This is possibly Anthony Mackie's strongest performance as the character. And I'm saying that as someone who didn't really care for Anthony Mackie in the beginning. Like, I was kind of like, this guy seems like a dick. I don't necessarily mean just his performance, but like things he said in interviews and whatnot, where I was like, it seems like a dick to me. But maybe Anthony Mackie just sort of has that sort of style. I don't know. The point is that he's good here, and I have been won over by Anthony Mackie as Captain America. These are huge pluses in my mind. Now, they're not the only Marvel characters in the film, because the film sneakily sneaks in the Israeli superhero Sabra, played by Shira Haas. Danny Ramirez plays Joaquin Torres, aka the new Falcon, and Carl Lumbly is Isaiah Bradley, the forgotten Captain America, who you will know more about if you've watched, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Liv Tyler also makes a brief cameo as Dr. Betty Ross, returning from the Incredible Hulk. Another character who's sort of just there, but is implied to have some level of importance, is Zosha Rockmore. I might be mispronouncing all of those names, but she's in there. She does a good job. Although her part is not like strongly written. Like there's an implied, maybe she's a character from Falcon the Winter Soldier that I'm forgetting. But the movie's basic conceit is that she is friends with Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson character, and is sort of like keeping him up to date on what's going on with Thaddeus Ross in the White House. I'm going to get some more into that in the spoiler section about Thaddeus Ross in the White House. But let's continue. How's the action? The action's pretty good. It's not the most incredible action I've ever seen, but I got to be honest, it all builds up to like some pretty great Hulk action. And I'm here for that. I am here for Hulk chaos. As far as the film's flaws, I think I've already touched on them. There is that sort of, we've clearly made changes to this film sort of vibe throughout the film. Just weird edits, parts where you're like, that seems like that was changed. And the inconsistency of the overall CGI. To be fair, Disney is actively destroying CGI. I don't know if you've noticed this, but movies actually look worse than they used to look. And it, especially when we can now, especially when you compare them. No, seriously, go back and watch the CGI from a 2017 superhero movie like BVS or even other Marvel films, and now come back and watch a more recent one. Do you see it? Did you notice it? The CGI, is it not as good? No, it's not as good. I have a lot of theories on this, but a large part of it is how the system works, and I'm not here to talk about that right now. My point is, the CGI in the film is inconsistent. There's some things that look good. There's some things where it's like, well, the way they handled it in terms of the shots and whatnot looks good, but like you can tell the CGI isn't quite where it should be. This is a problem that is raging across movies, not even just in the MCU, but also in the MCU. And I gotta tell you this, Hollywood, get that shit together. There shouldn't be a reason that the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie has better CGI than most of the movies I see today. There shouldn't be a reason that Man of Steel looks better than a movie released in 11 years later. That's not how technology normally works. They're getting cheap. And yet everything costs so much more. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But overall, I think Captain America Brave New World is pretty cool. And I enjoy it a lot. I will say that the metaphorical symbolism is weird. And we're going to get to that in the spoilers. But if you haven't seen it, I do recommend going out, checking it out. If you're a Marvel fan, it's totally worth seeing. Don't listen to a lot of the haters. The film is not perfect. But if what you want is a solid Captain America / Hulk movie, I know I've been asking for one, then this is a solid shot. Go see it. Now we're going to get into the spoilers and the weird part about the film. So, Disney has already released a statement saying that the Red Hulk is not Donald Trump. We're in the spoilers now. But Disney has already released a statement about that, saying that he's not. And I'm going to say right now, that feels like bullshit. I mean, he's kind of Donald Trump, guys. Like, okay, in fairness to Disney's claims that it's not on purpose, let's address some of the elements here. Okay, so first of all, it is worth noting that the elements in the storyline that have been utilized are things that existed in the comic books far before Donald Trump was ever president. And that's fair. Maybe these elements have just aligned to create a perfect Rorschach test of a weird symbolic thing. However, it's also worth noting that the film itself, the majority of the film, with the exception of the reshoots, were filmed before Donald Trump could win the White House, which I'm going to get to. The reality is that the symbolism of the Red Hulk, a giant red monster hidden in the form of a militarily minded world leader who who purports that he wants to be a peace president, but then is also ready to rapidly switch over to being a wartime president, while at the same time as trying to constantly say that he has changed. Also operating from an extremely paranoid position with his Israeli handler, with his Israeli defense. I think he's not his handler. She's a defense person. She's like his security person. But then also that he is extremely paranoid and very pro like rebuilding things. Are you starting to see the connections that I'm making here? These are all very loose, but the big one has got to be the red monster thing. Eventually, the leader, a secret cabal, a secret shadow leader who has been manipulating situations from the outset, very conspiracy theory minded, which is interesting because Donald Trump rose to prominence through his embrace of conspiracy theory based propaganda and seems to have become successful via a very strange series of calculations, which makes sense since a major plot point is that he used the leader's mental capacities to calculate the best way for him to win the election. Actually, the mustache thing just made sense. I just put together the mustache line. Obviously, he got that from the leader somehow. But the film's climax, and this is the thing, the film's climax is that the conspiracy eventually works, and Harrison Ford's Thaddeus Ross turns into the Red Hulk at a press conference where he destroys the Capitol building. Captain America then has to have a drag out fight with him, a fight he is only successful in because he has vibranium wings from Wakanda that can absorb kinetic energy. But that's not really important to the point that I'm making. The point is, though, is that in the end, Captain America takes down the giant lumbering Red Hulk, who is angry and out of control because the Red Hulk represents the rage of America that unjustifiably wants to lash out at international opponents, and also is motivated by rage and control. And then at the end, to top off this fantasy metaphor for Donald Trump, Thaddeus Ross admits his wrongdoings and accepts going to prison. There's a lot of rumors online that there was originally an ending where he died. And I'm going to be honest, either way, just feels like weird wish fulfillment now that Donald Trump is president again. Like the fantasy of, oh, he'll admit what he did was wrong and go to jail. No, the real president would never do that because he's a fucking bitch. Overall, if this metaphor is intentional, it's not great as a metaphor. I mean, like, I get it. I see the like wish fulfillment aspect of the president being punished for his disruption of the Capitol and turning himself in and going to prison. These things are nice little wish fulfillment things that probably made more sense before Donald Trump got reelected. And now they just feel weird. Once again, is the metaphor intentional? I don't know. But the metaphor is right in your face in a way where Disney felt like they had to say something about it. And so they did. Where they denied that it was a metaphor. Which, in fairness, I get. Why would they admit to that? Especially now that Donald Trump controls America and is slowly ripping it apart in one bout of Hulk frenzied rage. Although, to be fair, most of the destruction is actually being done by a nerd, like a nerd capable of incredible calculations. Oh my God, the leader is Elon Musk. Thank you for tuning into Ruben Uncut. I hope you enjoyed this episode where I reviewed Captain America Brave New World. Please like and subscribe and ring that bell if you're on YouTube. You can also, of course, leave a comment or email the program at rubenuncut@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful whatever, wherever, whoever you are.